So what this bill does, and what I found incredibly confusing when I got here, and at the time I thought that only the government of the day, the Liberal government, would do this because at the time the opposition, the loyal opposition, complained bitterly about this as well. And it's something you don't do in the private sector. And I'm not an anti-private sector. You take three things that have nothing to do with each other and you decide them at the same time. That just doesn't make sense. And that's why, and that's the part of the problem. The get her done. The get her done. There's a lot of mistakes made when you get her done. Like, that is part of the problem. So, you know, my colleagues, and on both sides, the government as well, have done a very eloquent job of laying out both sides of the work stoppage at York University. That needs to be fully debated, and it needs to be decided by itself, because it's not the same issue as the wind farm issue or the hydro issue. It's not the same issue. That's what, you know, when people talk about, you know, the omnibus bill, that's what an omnibus bill is. It should be an ominous bill, but that's the problem with those bills. And every opposition complains about them, and then as soon as they become government, guess what they do? Boom! And I predict that it's going to get even better next week, or worse, depending on your point of view, because if you will recall, when we were talking about another issue, they were going to have the biggest consultation in history on the education curriculum, biggest consultation in history. So, but next week, on this piece of legislation, I'm predicting, and hopefully I'm wrong, I really hope I'm wrong. The way legislation is supposed to work, you have first reading, right? That kind of goes. Then second reading, we're having the debate right now on second reading. And then if it passes, it goes to committee. Committee is actually the consultation part. That's when you talk to people, so you can make improvements, because you know what? There's 124 of us now. The 124 of us, actually the 76 on the government side who actually come up with this stuff, rightfully so, you have a mandate, and your staff, and your political guys, and all the and political people, yep. Better wording, come up with this stuff, and then no one's expecting you to be perfect. People are expecting you to put forward legislation the way you've campaigned on. You know what? We don't like it, but that's the way the system works. But when the bill goes to committee is when people who are actually interested, who are actually have a vested interest, there's nothing wrong with having a vested interest in presenting a committee. When people are experts in their area, can say, wait a second, government, I think maybe you missed something. That's when you do that. But you know what I think is going to happen next week, and for the people who haven't been here before, we're going to be something called time allocation. Oh yeah, and you should go back on the Hansard and go some YouTube, because you know who does the best job at describing time allocation? The best speeches were a former member from St. Catharines, Jim Bradley, who was the dean of the legislature. I miss Jim Bradley. He was a class act. He is a class act. He's not here anymore. He's a class act. I'm sorry for using a name, but the best description of time allocation is the member from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke. Yes. It's the guillotine. You should ask him at a caucus meeting. You should ask him to do it. I'm sure he's not going to do it anymore, because now he's on the government side. So this bill could very well go through without any committee, because the government has the right to do that. You know what? All that consultation stuff just went out the window. Like actual people, you know. So there should be and if you go back to omnibus bills, There should be a full consultation on the York University. Whether we totally disagree with back to work. You obviously agree, but there should be a full consultation. Would make sense. But obviously the government, and this drives me nuts, I have heard it being said that you are the first government for the people. What happened to Bill Davis? What happened to Bill Davis? The first government for the people. Come on. Come on. No, it says the first government for the people. It drives me crazy. But there should be a full consultation on each section of this. These should be divided into 3 bills. They're not. The actual committee process, very likely, and the House Leader probably knows better than I do, but very likely there will be, I'm suggesting right now, there might not be any committee because you want to get it done. Get her done. Get her done. We don't see, and the issue, and another great one that I've heard a lot, it's promise made, promise kept, but the third part is, it gets better. Promise made, promise, but we don't really care what the consequences are. That should be the rest of that sentence. Yep. That should be the rest of that sentence. We made a promise, and we don't care what the consequences are. And